September 29th, and I didn't realize I hadn't deleted a couple of files to allow more room, so I just got cut off. And it's about around 6:30 in the evening. I was talking about how I ended up at a different house to live at after the place in Arlington, Virginia. And I remember that when I was kind of being kicked out of that place around the time I was telling Chris Dabney he wanted to go to this, he said he wanted to go to this appointment that was at the Army place for the prenatal appointment. And I told him, you know, not that he could be involved, but not until he sobered up. And then at some point he did something really mean to me, did a couple of very mean things. And so I said, use something, I guess I'm saying, I think that I would probably raise this child on my own and just get child support from you. So I made some kind of a, like, comment about just getting child support from him, money, you know, for the baby, not having anything to do with him. And I don't think he liked that. I think that that's about the time that I lost my place in Arlington, Virginia. And that I was being fired. It wasn't too long after that. So when I was having all of the telecommunications problems, trying to contact people and having weird things happen, and then having weird things happen with my computer, I tried to find a Radio Shack, and I decided that I was going to get, what was I getting? I was going to purchase a voice recorder from the Radio Shack. I decided I needed, because at that time, I was still at the Post Pub, working as a waitress, and all of a sudden I had, since I had talked to this Italian American with CPS, the Attorney General, who was the top, and then was telling Chris Dabney, you know, maybe I'll just get the child support money, or whatever. Around that time, that's when all of a sudden all of these people were coming in and trying to ruin my work. I had people suddenly telling me and complaining to others that they had ordered a hamburger and I gave them a chicken burger. So they would tell me to my face, looking in my eyes, I want a chicken burger. And actually at the Post Pub, I had already been there a couple of months. I was able to take orders of approximately 15 people, food and drink, and not forget what they had all ordered. I didn't have to write it down. I think that somebody didn't like that. There were a couple of times that I made a small mistake. I got one small thing wrong on one of the drinks. But all the way up until very close to the end, I was able to take, like, as I say, full orders from everybody at a table of up to 10, 15 people. Their drinks, usually some kind of liquor, and we had a full bar. And their food order, and I didn't write it down. I never wrote down anything. I just remembered it. And when I finally started to get pretty good at it, I mean, I was getting better, and I only had a very, very occasional, very minor mistake here and there. When I was starting to get really fluent and good at doing that, and I did it because I wanted to challenge my mind while I was a waitress. So I did that to work on my brain, and then I also, towards the end, I started practicing using my left hand as well as my right hand, because it helped me to be faster. Because if I could we had to, like, put some of the condiments in the drinks and everything, and if I could squeeze 2 different lemons into 2 different drinks at the same time. It was a lot faster than squeezing 1 lemon, setting it down, squeezing another lemon. And we were in charge of getting the soda drinks, so I could fill up a soda drink while I was squeezing a lemon into with my other hand squeezing a lemon into the vodka drink. So I basically practiced memorizing things and trying to use both of my hands for speed. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I was actually getting, I was pretty good. I had very good tips too. And then all of a sudden I had after that incident with the Italian-American person, and maybe Chris not liking me, or Nikki definitely not liking me at that point, because I was pregnant, I had people coming in trying to, deliberately lying. And they were ordering a chicken burger, something like very simple orders that I never would have messed up on. And then they were changing their mind once I took it to them and saying, I ordered a hamburger, not a chicken burger. So I'd have to go back, and then they'd throw it out, and then after a while they're saying, Cameron, you're making a lot of mistakes and this is costing the kitchen. So then it was being thrown into, might be my fault. If they said they wanted a Coke and then they told me, no, I wanted a Sprite. I mean, I always knew what they told me that they wanted. And I'd have to go throw it out, and then it was the same thing. Many times I could tell they maliciously were doing it. At first, a couple times I thought it was just a mistake, like somebody ordered something and then they forgot what they had ordered or what they had said. Maybe they were thinking one thing and they said something else. So I didn't hold that against anyone. But then it was happening all the time, all at once, at the same time. And I could tell from the expressions on the faces of several individuals who came in and did that to me, they did it deliberately to make me look bad. So then I was being told, write things down. Write it down on your notepad, your waitress notepad. So they basically wanted me to start writing things down to, and I did, and then all of a sudden, even if I wrote things down, somebody was still saying that I wrote it down wrong, or they were claiming, or there I had about 5 different instances all of a sudden of people trying to walk out on the bill, and I'm having to chase them down for that. It was one thing after the other. And then on top of that, Kathy, the Irish American bar manager, Irish Catholic woman, she decided she hated my guts after I had a problem with that Italian American guy who was Catholic. And she started changing my orders in the computer, and I caught her doing it. I caught her changing some things on my tab. And then she was saying that I never entered that information in. So then I was getting in trouble for even taking the order down correctly and writing it down correctly as they wanted. But then somebody was going into their computer and changing it. So then I was ending up with, following what I had taken that information out of my memory. I'd put it on paper, and then I put it into the computer system, as every server knows what I'm talking about. And then you kind of do the blank. You don't have to remember that anymore if you've already entered into the system. I mean, you still sort of do a little bit, but once it's there, and if you're writing it down, then it doesn't really matter as much. So I'd go into the system, but then I wouldn't realize that somebody was changing it. So then I'm getting everything, checking the order to make sure that everything was there, and I could give that to my customers. I was finding out, and this camera is getting blurry back and forth again. I'm finding out that somebody had gone in and changed my order and the menu and the things that these customers that I had entered into the system. And at first I wasn't sure how it was happening. I thought it was definitely a computer glitch, and then I thought somebody's doing this, but I didn't know who, and then I caught Kathy red-handed doing that to me. There was also an Irish-American priest that always came in, and he was very friendly with me, wanted me to go out with him, wanted to go to the spy museum with me, all kinds of things. He was a priest. He was a Roman Catholic priest, and he didn't have a problem with me, and Kathy liked him, was friends with him. All of a sudden, that went downhill. He started treating me like crap, too. I mean, he treated me like he hated me all of a sudden. And both he and Kathy would talk and then look over at me and snarl. I mean, it was very bizarre. It was like I had just run over their own mother. And I think the only thing that I can really remember doing around that time is having a bad conversation with that Attorney General. And then suddenly having people come into my workplace and check me out and everything. And I did around that time tell Wenatchee where I was working. So I think I had people coming in who were siding with Wenatchee CPS in Washington State. And they were coming in and trying to screw things up, because up to this certain point, I did not tell Wenatchee just for that reason. I told them I was working, but it was private for now. And they probably already knew anyway. But more people knew after they entered it into the, their CPS system. And so I was suddenly being told, and then I was fired because I was told, you're making too many mistakes. And I really wasn't. But my work was being sabotaged. It was the very first time, in my entire life that anyone had sabotaged my work. I had not ever had an experience where I was doing a job or working somewhere, and then someone really went out of their way to bring in a bunch of people to lie and to say that I was doing a really bad job when I wasn't. So that was the first time in my entire life that ever happened. And then I was going to get a voice recorder because I had so many people lying and so many customers coming in and telling me that they ordered one thing and then lying and saying, no, I ordered something else and you got it wrong, and making me look bad. That I decided I'm just going to I wasn't going to record the customer and then play it back to them. I wasn't going to do anything weird like that. But I thought, for my own records, to be able to show the boss that I had there, I thought maybe it made a difference, but I didn't realize that by that time, the people who were running the Post Pub were working against me too. So it was like they weren't going to let me go until they allowed other people to have an opportunity to make me look bad. To lie about me, make me look bad. And then they were just going to look like the innocent, well, we can't keep somebody who isn't doing a good job. They wanted to look like they were innocent when they fired me, when they weren't. And that was why I was getting a voice recorder for the first time. So I went to this Radio Shack in Arlington. It was called Arlington Mall, and it was sort of underground. It was like you go into this tunnel type of a thing. And then it was a mall that was sort of, it was underground. It was like I don't know how to describe it, but the whole complex was underground. And, it looked like, basically, those skywalks, if you go from some places in some cities have a skywalk or maybe a subway tunnel. If it's a skywalk, it's connecting one building to another building, and you just kind of walk across it, and then you're in this other building. You might go across a street, maybe. And if it's a subway type of a tunnel, it's the same idea, but you're going underground and going underneath the road. And then you end up into this building, like maybe the basement floor of the store that you need to go to, and then you just take the elevator to go up to the higher end store, or the higher store. Well, that's the kind of, that's how I would describe this Arlington Mall. And I got there, got to the Radio Shack, met this guy. I thought he was really nice. He seemed very cheerful. He was a black man, young black man. He seemed very cheerful, helpful. He seemed to know what he was doing. And he really validated. He was one of the first individuals there who validated what I was saying was happening with my cell phone and my computer. And I told him too that I was having a problem with some people, kind of sabotaging my work. And I thought, well, maybe this might help. with that. And so I was asking him different questions, and